Welcome into Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. And, Coach, it feels like it's been a while, which it really hasn't been since we talked, but you've had a lot of games, as you had 3 games to cover now for this program. Today we start at Haywood, and that game was a tight one for a while. In the fourth quarter, it seems like they really opened things up. Well, how did things go according to your perspective? Where do you feel like things got off the rails for you?
Well, we did a good job up to that point. And then if you remember, we went up by 9 points with about 6 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah.
But it should have been over.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, we didn't follow the game plan and stick to what we were supposed to be doing. And we ended up losing. But, you know, as far as I'm concerned, in my career, I'm 9 points up.
Yeah.
With 6 minutes to go, the game is over.
Yeah.
And we just threw it away. We just took bad shots. We threw it away. I think we took for granted that we were going to win the game. And, you know, when you're on the road, you cannot do that.
Not at all, and especially against a team like Haywood.
A team like Haywood, you cannot do that. And we were really disappointed that we lost that game because we should have won it.
So how do you correct that with your players? I mean, obviously that's something you want to learn from. You don't want that happening now because we're getting into district play.
Right. Well, if you notice, we came back and we put in another little wrinkle to help us out, and a little wrinkle to help us out when we get to those situations again. And, of course, when we got to that same situation when we went to Dyersburg.
Yes, we did.
And we were able to close it out.
Okay.
And we closed it out correctly the way we were supposed to, because the win at Dyersburg was a big win.
Oh, it was a good win. You know, at Haywood, too, you know, was that the game that we were missing a lot of layups down the stretch?
Yes,
and
it
stuff
was.
Like that? It was just uncharacteristic of a Viking team.
Very uncharacteristic. And, of course, you know, we could have taken – I mean, just basically when you're 9 points up with 6 minutes to go, it's over.
That's right.
You know, it's over. So, but anyway, we corrected it when we played Dyersburg. We did a very good job because, like I said, we added a couple of things and tweaked a couple of things, and we were able to close Dyersburg out at Dyersburg.
And I was going to pull up this Haywood score sheet one more time because there was something I noticed that your defense did in the third quarter, held Haywood to 8 points.
Right, we did. And like I said, that's, you know, pretty much how we got back into the flow of the game through our defense. Yeah. And then when we got into the fourth quarter and we went up 9, it was supposed to be over.
Right, right.
And it wasn't. So, but that's a bump on the head, a knock that we took and then moved on.
You know, if you look at your score sheet and you go, you know, before the game, you're going to have 4 players in double digits scoring wise. Normally you don't lose those games.
Right.
You know, you've got Tobias Bell with 10, which is one of his better scoring games of the year. Leading scorer was Kendrick Taylor again. Darian had 13. Jeffrey Patterson had 11. Elijah Moore, goodness gracious. I mean, that kid is really having himself a season. He had 9 points there from the bench. Yes. And he's really putting together a nice showing, you know, and he's got a few years left.
Yes, Eli has done a great job.
Yeah.
He's been tuned in, been focused. He's actually been one of our most consistent players up to this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a fantastic, and I know it's a loss. It's an unfortunate loss there as we lose to Haywood, kind of split with them. We beat them here by 1 point at home. Right. We lose there on the road, 69-77. Now, we move to the Tuesday game. You know, you had a Saturday, Sunday, Monday to kind of let that loss marinate a little bit, and you come back in on Tuesday. You have to travel to Dyersburg, which is a very, very it's a school that really supports their basketball program.
That's beautiful.
And it's a great gym. I love the lighting in that gym.
Yes, beautiful facility. They take basketball serious. They do a great job facility-wise, and I like playing there.
Now, when they played here, I don't think the head coach, I think the girls guy had to coach the boys or something because I don't remember him being here. Was he here that game?
Oh, yeah, he was here.
He was here. Oh, I don't know why I thought it was the girls coach that coached that game. And I know him. I knew he has a couple of players that used to play for him that go to our church now, and they now are over at South Gibson. And but I don't know. I didn't recognize him. He was definitely in that game. I know they kind of felt like some calls late in that game didn't go their way, but you know, we had some calls early in the game that didn't go our way too.
Exactly.
How do you feel about that Dyersburg game? I know you feel like you corrected some things. But it was kind of down to the wire there.
It was a big win for us, a very big win on the road at a 3A school. Again, for us, it was a very big win and a win that we wanted to try to obtain, because we're going into our district play.
Right.
So it was really important that we get things right. And we did.
Yeah.
We did. It was a tough win, a tough victory, a good victory.
Yes.
A good win on the road at a 3A school.
And Dyersburg, I mean, they came out and they opened that game on a 16-0 run.
Yes, they did.
And you had to call an early timeout. What do you say in that timeout?
Well, get it together.
Okay.
Get it together. Slow down. Get it together. Get in tune. Get in some rhythm. We also took some crazy shots, 3-pointers.
It did feel some stuff was forced.
That was ill-advised and forced. And so, you tell them to chill out, calm down, run our offense the way we're supposed to, and follow the game plan.
Yeah. Yeah, and you did. After that timeout, it kind of seemed like we righted the ship. Yeah, we were losing, but, you felt better about the shots that were being made. You could tell they took you to heart in that timeout. And, that game ended up finishing. You had Jeffrey Patterson leading scorer with 18 points. Darian and Kendrick Taylor both had 17 points. It was a night offensively. You did get things going after a while.
Yeah, we did, because I do believe we led it to half.
Yes, I think so. You had 29. They had 28.
28 at the half.
So
we kind of fought back and got it to that point at the halftime.
And you never really looked back. You outscored them in the third and the fourth quarters,
right,
and just continued to extend that lead. And it was great to see them get that win, 61-57. And then, there was a little nasty weather coming in, and we ended up getting some snow. More snow than I've seen here, Coach, than I can remember my entire lifetime. This is crazy. And it actually, to be snow, was welcomed. We normally get more ice than snow, and,
right,
when I started hearing snow, I'm like, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, we saw it. It was here.
And it was more snow than ice.
It was. So they moved your game from Friday to Thursday. What does that say about your team? They were ready. Thursday night, went into Halls, got the win.
Well, we practice hard. That's why sometimes we are surprised, because we definitely practice hard.
Sure.
We definitely get after it in practice. Weightlifting, conditioning, shooting, fundamentals. We actually get after it. And we have practiced very, very hard.
Yeah.
So there wasn't very much difference in moving the game, because Thursday is always a pregame practice anyway. So rather than have a pregame practice, we're going to play a game.
Yeah.
And that's what we like to do, and get that game behind you, so we have a Friday off.
What do you say to that fan that does it? Maybe they didn't get to go. They don't know how this Halls team is. I know you told me off air, Halls has a good team this year.
They do have a good team. They have the big kid in there who's about 6'4", 6'5", who's very, very good. And they're pretty good. And it's tough to play Halls at Halls. For whatever reason, it's always like a cloud over our team when we play at Halls, whether that's we don't get prepared to play them, or whether that's taking them for granted.
Yeah.
But it's always a tough place to play, and I'm just glad we were able to play them early at Halls.
Yeah.
I feel much more comfortable playing them late in the year at Humboldt than I do playing them late in the year at Halls, because they always is a tough play for us. But surprisingly, we did a great job defensively and got out of there with a big win again.
Let's talk about that first quarter, because it was a slower start than what I've normally seen from your teams.
Right.
11-10.
Right.
What happened in that first quarter? I wasn't able to be there.
Pretty much we got off to a slow start.
Okay.
And, it's basically we hadn't played. So basically, our rhythm was off a little bit, and the defense was off a little bit. But then we made the adjustments and was able to get back our rhythm and play Humboldt basketball.
You outscored Halls in every quarter in that game. I also look at the second half, and I see offensive explosions of 20 points and 18 points in that final half. We talk about it a lot, but the strength and conditioning of the Humboldt team always comes into play in our district. When you play other teams, it may not come into play as much. They're bigger. They can rotate more people in.
Right.
That's really the success of Humboldt basketball is that strength and conditioning, and you saw it in that game.
Especially when we come into district. Our work ethic, the strength, the conditioning, the agility that we're able to display when we get to the district is highly evident.
Yeah.
And we were able to do that. I do believe, I can't remember what the stats were in the second quarter, or maybe third quarter, where they scored a very minimal amount of points in the third quarter.
9 points.
9 points in the fourth, and we scored how many?
20.
20. Okay.
That'll swing a game fast.
Yes, it did, and that's what happened, and our defense stepped it up.
They only scored 10 points in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
And we outscored them 18-10. I mean, you had control of that game, and that's why I say we need to mention, this is still a good team because they're going to have to come here and play.
Right.
And, some people might see that final score, 67-43 and think, well, it's going to be a cakewalk. But it's not. You have to take this team seriously.
They are. They're going to be pretty good out there. They will probably be the second. Well, they'll probably be the third seed.
I was going to say Middleton might come in there with
probably second, but they'll be the third seed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Obviously, we believe Humboldt's going to be number one.
Yeah,
that's what we practice for.
Right.
And I know that's what you're going to say,
Right,
Coach.
Right. Yep.
I look at this, Elijah Moore, we mentioned him earlier. He was your leading scorer of the night, 16 points. And then you have Kendrick and Darian coming in there together again, 11 points, and 9 points for Jaden Champion. Let's pin the roses on Jaden for a little bit because he's been consistent, all year long. Good attitude, comes in, understands his role, and he's playing hard.
And he's a freshman. And we try to get him as much playing time as possible to get him ready because we are going to need him down the stretch.
You mentioned that freshman. Let's talk about that freshman league for a minute. How are they doing?
Doing pretty good. Very good. I do not believe we lost yet.
I haven't seen anything freshman league. You may be right.
I don't think we have. Doing very, very well.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. Ended up getting a big district win. Girls and boys got the win at Halls, so that's a great start. I know now you're saying you're 1-0 in the season because the district has started.
Right.
And what is our overall record? I need to keep up with that.
We are 12-5.
12-5.
Yes.
Wow. That's a great start to a year.
A great start to a year, especially the caliber teams that we play in pre-district. It's a great record.
So you have Clarksburg coming up, Bradford coming up. They've played each other.
Right.
Okay. Bradford pretty much had their way, 65-32. We was talking about Middleton a while ago. Middleton played West Carroll the other night on Thursday night, and they beat West Carroll 66-24. Huntington beat Clarksburg 82-39. So we'll talk about, how you prepare these kids for Clarksburg. They're seeing these scores just like we are. Right. You're coaching in an age, Coach, where, kids are going to have social media, and it's so hard. I know it has to be hard as a coach, keeping them focused not to look past a team. We may go into a little bit of that after we talk the schedule. But, that may be where we want to kind of hone in on how do you as a coach, you're coaching kids now that they've got technology that you didn't have when you was a kid, or even when you coached at, LSU and other schools. Social media has become a bigger deal now. And so we'll talk about maybe some adjustments you maybe have had to make as a coach or kind of your approach with that. Obviously, kids are going to have it, but using it wisely may be the tone there. I'm not sure. We'll see what Coach has to say after this break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about Clarksburg, Bradford. You got a tough Covington team that's going to be coming in on Saturday. We got a busy week, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday games this week. And so we'll cover all of that coming up in just a moment. You're watching Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Welcome back into Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy, our Viking basketball varsity boys coach here. And he's over the program on the boys' side as well. And sometimes people don't realize, and, that's why I was asking him about freshman league. The way they have built this program here is it was pretty unique in its time. I think now there's a lot of schools that are following suit because they see the success Humboldt's had. Right. What's the benefits of that? Why don't we reiterate that to folks before we start talking about this program? Because you got a junior high program that's doing really well as well, and that's feeding your high school program.
Right. Well, it's very important. And any time you're trying to build something, the base, the foundation is what you look for. Mm-hmm. If you got a firm foundation and a great base, then it feeds up. And we basically, again, that's where our coaching staffs all have work together and all have responsibilities with each other and for each other for 7th through 12th grade. And that foundation is very important to us, and it has benefited us very, very well.
Even through coaching changes,
yes,
but even before Vonner and now with Vonner, it's been pretty seamless transition.
Yeah, it has. So my coaches and I, we laugh at a lot of times. People have comments. Say different things in situations and circumstances, but don't know how hard we work at keeping it. And sometimes I think we make it look like it's pretty easy, but it's a lot of work involved. And again, I have great assistant coaches who work hard. All the way from Coach Vonner, who does strength and conditioning, to Coach Ingram, to Coach Butler, and they work very, very hard. And of course, we've introduced Coach Brown in, and he's working hard. He's upholding his end, and I have great coaches. I would be remorse to even think that I could be as successful as I am without those guys.
Sure, and it says a lot about your program too that you're not turning over coaches a lot. Once they get here, they like it here.
Yeah, it's been great. It's
been fantastic. Well, let's talk about your upcoming schedule, Coach, because the district don't let up. You've got Clarksburg and Bradford both coming up. Tuesday night, Clarksburg. It seems like they may be on a rebuilding year just from looking at some score sheets, but what do you see on film? I know you're looking at this game Tuesday night. It's a must-win. It's a district game,
Yes, it is, and it is a must-win, At this point of the season, we actually try to focus more in on what we do.
Okay.
And how we do it, carrying out what we have practiced, carrying out what we have planned, carrying out the game plan that we've set. That's what we look forward to, and we want it executed, regardless of who the opponent is.
And I fully expect you'll do what you've always done, that if the score starts going the other direction and you're winning pretty good, there'll be some key time for the younger players to get a chance. I call them a lot of times depth players.
Yeah, and they always are, and again, we have a system.
Yeah.
We don't just throw kids in because the score is high or out of control. We have a system, and that system is based on how they've practiced. A system based on their knowledge of what they're supposed to be doing. That's how we put them in the game to make sure that they are in the rotation, make sure that they are doing what they're supposed to do, and benefiting and getting better from being in a position that they're playing in, a position that we're going to need them to play in, a position that we're going to need them for in the future.
So who's making those substitutions? I know you have the final say on that, but is it you and Butler kind of talking to, hey, send somebody in, or how does that work in a game?
Usually, no, we're talking back and forth to each other.
Okay.
Sometimes they may say, let's send Keziah. No, not right now. We get somebody else. Or whatever. So we talk about it a lot before we actually put somebody in.
Nice. So you've got the game at Clarksburg Tuesday night.
Right.
And that will be a 7 o'clock time. And then we move to Bradford. Bradford's going to bring it. I mean, we know they're going to bring it. They're a good team. Right. And that is a home game on Friday night. Right. How excited are you to have Bradford come Friday?
Oh, great, because actually Bradford is actually ranked above us.
Oh.
Yeah, Bradford's actually ranked number 1 in the region.
Oh.
And we're number 2, but Bradford's number 1.
Okay.
So, and our kids know that. And we've talked about it, and we will talk about it. Naturally, right now we are focused in on Clarksburg, but we know, and we've mentioned the fact that Bradford is number 1 in the region.
So how do you keep them focused on them while also mentioning Bradford's number 1?
Well, that's our coaches. That's our job.
Yeah.
To make sure our kids stay focused and tuned in on Clarksburg and not to get caught up in looking ahead.
Sure. So that's a big game on Friday. Now, what time is Saturday's game? Is that going to be a normal nighttime game?
Yeah,
or is it okay?
It's normal nighttime.
So it will be 7 o'clock Saturday evening.
Right.
And that'll be exciting. And both girls and boys play Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. But Saturday is against Covington.
Right.
And you worked to get this game on the schedule. You worked to get this one on there because we hadn't had this one in a while. And I remember you telling me I wanted them on our regular season schedule.
Because they're always good. They're always competitive, and we've always played them prior. And just the last couple of years, we were not able to schedule them. But they're always a great game, both at Covington and both here. So, early in the year, we had already played at Covington, and we were down, 21 points at Covington, and we were able to come back and win the game. So we're looking forward to a great game here on Saturday with Covington.
Now, my phone is not updating this block building. Sometimes it don't act right. But have we played them yet this year?
Covington.
Yeah, I think we have, haven't we?
Yeah, Covington. We played at Covington. Remember, we were down 21.
That's right. That's the game you came back.
And came back and was able to win it at Covington.
So they're going to come in here wanting to even that score.
Oh, yeah, they will. They definitely will.
That's going to be a great atmosphere.
Yes,
Saturday night, nobody's got to get them go to work the next morning. They got
Exactly.
church, but they don't have work the next morning. And those kids don't have to worry about school. And, that's going to be fantastic. Okay, so let's move to the conversation we mentioned before the break, and then we'll wrap up the show today. But so, again, you have had to evolve, I'm sure, as a coach through time. Technology changes. You've been in this a while, and kids, they have more at their fingertips now than ever. And social media can be a good thing. Obviously, we know the negatives of social media, and we've talked about games like at Trenton and things like that where there's a lot of chatter on social media, and it gets more and more difficult to keep kids focused. How do you as a coaching staff approach social media?
Well, first of all, we use that social media to get video, to get film, and so forth, and it's been very beneficial for us to do that. Coach Ingram and Coach Butler are in charge of getting and securing video or tapes for games that we have coming up. So, and they do an excellent job of doing that. Yes, our kids do look at those videos. Yes, they do look at those tapes, rather. But then again, it's our job as coaches to keep them focused and tuned in to the point whereas they don't look at a video and say, "Oh, we got that." No, we don't operate that way. We need to look at that video and find out what their weaknesses are, what our strengths are, decide what they are, and decide a game plan is how we do that. And of course, everybody's on tape now. Everybody's on tape. So we do some things, we put in some things, we hold up some things, and if we're playing a certain team, we may hold up, for example, we may not press. We may press a certain team just to hold it up because we're going to need it in the future. But, as if anything else, change is always inevitable.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it, be honest about it, embrace it, and then you move on.
Yeah, you talk about, change there. You probably coached, were you originally coaching when it was the old VHS system where they had to send you the tapes, or were you beyond that?
No.
You were back this way?
No. I was with that ticker tape.
Oh.
Where you had that's when I started coaching. When
Okay.
you had that ticker tape where you cut and spliced and put together.
My.
That's the era that I started.
Okay, so you have evolved a lot here to now where this is a whole lot easier.
Even going from high school to LSU, we used that ticker tape at one point at LSU, and then but quickly evolved from the ticker to the videotape and to the stop and go audio. But we evolved pretty quick. So I've been through that whole era.
That's neat. That's neat. And then also with social media, everybody has an account. And I think for the most part, your teams, there might have been a moment last season where I think some of their fans had gotten disrespectful to one of your players and a player stood up for another one. But for the most part, there's not a lot of chatter.
Well, usually actually, to be honest, we do not allow our players to get on social media.
Okay.
We do not allow them to answer any social media accounts.
Okay.
And if they do, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
So we've kind of been able to handle it that way by not allowing, kind of dare them to go on social media to answer any questions or anything about our basketball. We want to keep that in the family.
Yes, sir.
And we don't want to answer anybody because in most cases, the things that people say on the outside are not worth a penny. Okay, most of the time they do not know what they're talking about.
Right.
And so why, feed that or why answer it? So we require our players not to answer or not to post anything on social media about us or our basketball team or our program.
Yeah, and that's teaching them more than basketball. There's a lot of people that probably could take that lesson. You don't air your dirty laundry on. So this even goes farther than basketball.
Yeah,
your kids have really responded well to that.
Yeah, they really have, but they also know because they'll talk about different things that they read or see or people say, and then I'll just kind of wait to see, and like I said, all right, because what our rule is, we don't answer any of that. They for the most part, they do not answer any of it. Yeah. That's just the fans and people's comments, and just that's where it goes, right through there, right out in the air, right up into the atmosphere. Right.
We talked last week also about the shooter, when you hear shooter on the sideline, what that means. And then you shared off air a few other ones like Wolf and that kind of thing. A lot of other programs use that. Is that something that is taught, or how do coaches pick that kind of stuff up?
Well, I've been doing it a long time.
Right.
And, of course, I brought it here to this kind of area. When somebody behind you, you call Wolf, or you call cover, with the ball, and so I kind of brought that with me to the coach. Now I kind of know that I hear other people saying it.
They're hearing it, yeah.
I kind of laugh. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, because pretty much we used it early on, and people are picking it up.
That's incredible.
Using the same thing that we do.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, Coach, you got a full week: Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, which I know that's what you live for. This is it. This is fun time of basketball.
I do. I love it, and I want to play. I would actually prefer to play than practice. So
yeah.
I look forward to the games.
It's going to be a great week. Good luck this week. And Coach always is gracious to sit down with us. We appreciate you joining us on this Monday night. Every Monday, we should be good to go now the rest of the season. We can keep it going. And Coach Ab is always so gracious to give us some time and talk about previous week's games and then highlight some games that are coming up. If you can make it Friday, Saturday night, this is your home crowd now. We need you here. We need you here. And we've seen some good crowds so far this year, Coach. I've been really excited about it. The crowds look good.
Yes, I have, and I really appreciate our fan base and those positive fans coming to cheer us on. Of course, the negative ones too, because they make it better.
That's right. They make you better, and that's money for the program.
Yeah, but our crowds have been great.
Yeah. That's great. Well, join us next Monday night again for another edition of Inside Humboldt Basketball. This is Coach Ab. I'm Seth Wilkerson. Thanks for joining us. God bless.